Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Ibuzz. I'm your host Nosheen Bukhari and we'll be discussing some news and reviews from around the globe. First things first, let me quickly take you to the top stories of the day. Friends reunion. Each member of the cast was paid $2.5 million for the episode. Miley Cyrus, the baby Jonas Brothers to live perform at Music Midtown Festival. Cannes Film Festival to honor Jodie Foster with Lifetime Achievement Palme d'Or. Taylor Swift joins star-studded cast of David O. Russell's new untitled film. Chris Hemsworth reveals filming has wrapped on Thor: Love and Thunder. And now moving to the top story of the day. As the Friends cast came together once again for Friends The Reunion, it is explored how much the cast made for the special episode. Friends is one of the best-loved shows of all time, airing from 1994 to 2004. The NBC series made stars of Jennifer Aniston, Matt LeBlanc, Lisa Kudrow, Courtney Cox, David Schwimmer, and Matthew Perry. The Reunion special episode stood among one of the most reviewed streaming programs last week. To discuss this further, we have entertainment journalist Monica Charsley with us. Monica, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, packing in 10 glorious years of a show that made the world a better place can be quite overwhelming in less than 2 hours. How do you do the justice to the most awaited reunions of all times? I mean, what all do you include and leave behind? And more importantly, what can you tell your audience that they already don't know?
I'd say it was definitely highly anticipated, and it's been 17 years since the finale, so I think people were expecting a lot. And even me, I didn't even realise in the beginning that it wasn't going to be like a one-off episode. So that's what I originally thought, or that's what I would have liked to see, one more episode per se, instead of the sit-down talk. But I think they crammed quite a lot in. They done table talks, they revisited iconic scenes and trivias from season 4. So they did fit quite a lot in, as well as bring other characters back to the show, to sit down and talk. So I do feel like they fitted quite a lot in, but I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan. So I don't know how some fans would have felt if they would have been the same as me and would have preferred to watch one more episode. I feel that would have been nice.
Right, and also Monica, the excitement was, skyrocketing. But I would like to know your opinion when there were reviews like the reunion sure doesn't have the timeless quality of the show itself, but for a one-time gig, it packs quite a punch for its fans and leaves them wanting for more. How much do you agree with this?
I'd say so, yeah, because they've done quite a few reveals as well during the reunion. Everyone's always wondered, did Rachel and Ross have an on-screen and off-screen romance? So they've done a little bit of hints, and people really enjoyed it for all this time, for 17 years to go by since the finale, and to still reveal something, to keep it secret the whole time. So I do feel like the audience got what they wanted. They wanted a confirmation. I think they didn't think they were going to get necessarily. So yeah, I think the audience were pleased. However, I did notice some other reviews asking why a host was even needed, because they said that it was so good that they would have just been happy to see the cast members speak amongst themselves.
Yeah, and also each cast member was paid $2.5 million. I mean, this $15 million budget could have given us another Friends season, don't you think that?
I 100% agree. And on top of that, I didn't realise how much money they get for the return of the show each year in terms of syndication. So that was $20 million they get for each season. It goes on each year and year. So that, on top of what they've just made, is a lot of money. And when you're watching, or when I watched the reunion, you could see that actual bonds had formed. So to think that, they've made friends from this show, and then to get that much money on top, it is a lot. But I think fans wanted it more than less, and they would get the pay because people wanted it back so much.
Right. Monica, the cast shared their experiences of working together with a lot of backstories which fans never knew until today. In your opinion, what elements made the cast stay put and together on set for so many years? And on those bases, there was a reunion that happened after 17 years.
I think it was so great to get them all back in one room together. You know, at the start of the reunion, they said they've not all been together in one room since. So I think that alone, people were going to tune in and they wanted to come. For them themselves, the cast, they were reminiscing completely, going back to the place where they filmed. Even the start of the reunion, it showed them behind the iconic fountain. So it's both what the cast wanted to see and both what the audience have been waiting to see, their characters back in the same scenery. So I'm glad that they done the same exact set.
Right. And also coming back to your point about the host, the show was hosted by fanboy James Corden. How do you receive his performance? Some said that his performance was fine because he didn't outshine the cast. But I would like to know your opinion that how did you receive it?
I thought he was okay. I think it's a good point about not outshining the cast because he definitely didn't do that, and he was there for, you know, just to ask the questions, and he still allowed them to take a lot of centre, which is what people wanted. They still wanted to mainly hear from the cast. So I think he did that bit justice. But I did see reviews on, you know, some people saying, but why wasn't it an American host? Obviously, I'm from the UK and James Corden's from the UK. Some people said that Andy Cohen, who's quite a popular host in America, he does all the Real Housewives reunions. A lot of people said he would have been a better fit. But I think in terms of the whole reunion and bringing the cast back, he did serve that purpose. He was there just to ask the questions and they still got centre stage. So his performance, and to be honest, we know him in the UK as quite a larger to life character and overly funny. So really, I could have thought he might have been too much. So I think he done all right.
And also, I think in a way, he has attracted more viewership from Europe, exclusively from UK, with his presence.
Yeah, well, from the UK, we've seen him do a lot of things since the fact that he's gone to America and made his own platform. A lot of people from England are really happy about that, to see him making so many milestones, because he's made them milestones here and he's been able to do that. So for him, I mean, everyone wanted a cameo on Friends. Everyone loved Friends, celebrities, everyone. So I'm sure that for him, this was a big career moment for him.
Right. The slashed transmission, Monica, it was yet another major feature of the episode where we heard complaints from Chinese viewers and fans about censoring Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber, and BTS performances. Do you think the transmission was a little politicized with this move?
I think that they had to remember that all ages are watching. I mean, my younger sister loves Friends. A lot of kids do watch Friends as well. Because it's very, very funny, and the acting's very exaggerated, and the physical comedy component younger people like as well. So I think they were right to censor some things, but you know, Lady Gaga's quite an out there character. So, you know, if you're hearing that Lady Gaga's going to be on the reunion, you're expecting it to be a certain way because of who she is. You know, her whole thing is, I want to be who I am. But then she did come on the reunion and she did say, thank you, Phoebe, for, in her character, thank you for letting me come on and do this and representing people who are a bit unique. So it seems like she would have been happy with it.
Right. And the directors and producers claiming that they were not ashamed of the lack of diversity in the cast. What is your take on this statement? I mean, that the series was made back in the days when, you know, diversity and topics like these were not very hot. They were not part of the content. But now, since we are, you know, experiencing more and more awareness, so do you think that the director's claim on lack of diversity is going to, you know, affect the reunion itself?
No, I think the reunion, everyone's been waiting for it, so I don't think that will affect it at all because of the time it was made. If this was made a few years ago, I think the people would have a lot to say about where's the diversity. But in the time it was made, they're just really, the whole reunion was about travelling back to that time. So I don't think that the diversity element will alter how well it's done in ratings.
Right, and but do you expect that if there is another season, the directors and producers, they need to now, include more people of color, more people of different cultures and ethnic backgrounds in order to, tick that box?
Yes. We're in a whole completely different time now. We're in 2021. So I think if they were to bring season back, which people would love, people want to see, but people would also want to see how they've moved with the times, because it's not going to do as well sticking in that times. They have to, incorporate all the new things which are happening. And part of that is, the statement on diversity and how a cast needs to be different and unique. And because, everyone knows that their characters individually were unique, but how else could they make a character unique, bringing them in? How about if a character is from a different place, a different country, different culture? I think that would be needed, and I think it would only add to the greatness of Friends.
Right, and Monica, since you have watched the reunion, which of the parts were your favorite and why?
I liked watching the table reads, and because obviously they've grown up now, they're a lot older, so to see them react the same scenes that we watched back then, I thought that was quite a special moment, especially for the really, really big Friends fans, to see them do them exact funny lines.
Yeah.
But it was also nice just to see how authentic their relationships have become, and that's why even when they were talking about Rachel and Ross and how they really did like each other in real life, they said that it's good that they didn't go there because they had that tension which built the whole relationship on screen.
Yeah.
So it was just nice for them to do the little bits of reveals, the red table talks, and really take us back. And it was nice to see their reactions. It really was real.
And
it was
more very natural that it's coming out of their parts.
Yes, very natural. Definitely.
Right. Monica, summing up 17 years of Friends in one reunion episode, do you think the episode was exactly what Friends fans had been expecting lately?
Do you know what? I do believe maybe they could have done like a part 1, part 2, because when I have seen other reunion shows, it's in parts, even usually 3 parts in the other reunion shows I watch. So I feel like, people have been waiting so long. Could they have spread it out a bit longer? I think they could have, because they have endless amounts of cast, a lot of celebrity people, celebrities came on. You had Reese Witherspoon, Julia Roberts. So they definitely could have done more and done more of a reunion and made
that an episode or season would do better rather than, creating these reunions?
I think everyone's been waiting so long, they would take whatever they can get at this point because it's been so overdue. So I think people are going to be happy regardless. But if, the hype around bringing a whole season back, everyone would just love it again, especially now. We've been in the pandemic and we've took a lot of time to rewatch old series. I'm rewatching old series and looking back at all our favourite programmes. So if they were to bring it back, I think this would have been a great time to do it because everyone's sitting at home.
Absolutely, absolutely. Monica, it was lovely having you for this discussion. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
That was Monica Charsley with her views on Friends reunion. And now moving to other story details of the day. The annual Festival of the Music Midtown is all set to return to Atlanta this year with top performers including Miley Cyrus, DaBaby, Jonas Brothers, and Maroon 5. The music festival that consists of 4 stages will continue for 2 days in the heart of Midtown Atlanta. Other singers who will perform at the music festival include 21 Savage, Megan Thee Stallion, Machine Gun Kelly, the Black Pumas, and Jack Harlow. The organizers of the music festival said the coronavirus guidelines and recommendations will be followed at the time of the event. 2 times Oscar winner Jodie Foster will receive a Lifetime Achievement Palme d'Or at this year's Cannes Film Festival. Haynes said the honorary Palme d'Or was in recognition of Foster's brilliant artistic journey and praised the actor and director as a unique personality with a modest yet strong commitment to some of the major issues of our time. Foster made her Haynes debut in 1976 as a 13 years old in Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver, which won the Palme d'Or for Best Film. In total, 7 of her films have screened at the festival over the years, including one of her directorial efforts, The Beaver. U.S. singer and songwriter Taylor Swift is the latest talent announced to join the ensemble cast of David O. Russell's forthcoming film. Few details have been shared about Swift's first period film other than its A-list cast. Swift will be in good company as fellow Hollywood actors Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, John David Washington are set to appear in the film alongside Rami Malek, Zoe Saldana, Chris Rock, Mike Myers, and Robert De Niro. Production on the film has already wrapped, with the title and release date is yet to be announced by 20th Century Studios. Chris Hemsworth has revealed that filming has wrapped on the latest Thor film in Australia. Thor: Love and Thunder will be released next year as part of the fourth phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and features Tessa Thompson and Natalie Portman. Former Batman actor Christian Bale joins the cast as villain Gore, and Russell Crowe revealed earlier this year that he will be appearing in the movie as Zeus. And that is it from our newsroom. We will be right back after a quick short break. Stay tuned to find out more. Welcome back. And now in this segment, we will be reviewing the movie Into the White that was released in 2012. During World War II, enemy fighter pilots find themselves face to face after shooting down one another's planes over a desolate landscape. In order to survive, they must set aside the rules of war. In order to review this movie further, we have Jamie Lowe, who is an entertainment journalist. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Hi, good to be back.
So, although a slow-paced movie, yet it stands among those very few of the motivational movies from Second World War that give out a message of peace.
Yeah, I think that's one of the nicer points. I like to see these films because, I mean, when you take away the war, which of course, how far away from the war can you be in a desolate Norwegian landscape? What is really the animosity between human beings? And I think it's one of the nicer tellings of that sort of story where we do see a bit of collaboration and, you know, good sportsmanship between two very different warring parties.
Right. And it is inspired by and loosely based on real-life events that occurred in Norway during the World War II. So how do you see that the accuracy of the events was, depicted in the movie?
Well, the true story, so some names were changed. So it was Captain R.T. Partridge and Lieutenant R.F. Bostock. The German characters, their names are a bit closer to what they were in reality. And the reality of the story is that it was a lot shorter. So they only spent, so they met up in the sort of desolate Norwegian snowy landscape in an area called Interland, I think, something like that. Anyway, it translates as inland. So they were trying to get back to the sea, weren't they? But there was no way they were going to do that because they, in fact, crashed over inland Norway. And it all happened in a day. So they found each other, crossing the snowscape. And the Germans ended up staying in a hunter's lodge, and then the British guys decided to trek a bit further to a cabin, which they later discovered was actually a hotel in an area called Gottli, I believe. And then the ski party found them the next day. So it was a lot shorter in real life, and no arms were cut off like there were in the film.
Right. And Jamie, of course, talking about the cast members like Rupert Grint, Stig Henrik, David Cross, and Florian Lucas. In your opinion, was it different from a traditional? The cast was, different from the traditional World War movie casts. Do you think that there was more potential for other actors to be added in this movie?
Potentially. I mean, they kept it quite true to the amount of people that were there in the real life events. But I think Rupert Grint did a great job pulling off quite a convincing Liverpudlian accent, which I wasn't expecting. And then I think a star cast member for me is Florian Lucas. I'm not sure what adding too many more cast members would do to the film. I think it's, like you said, a slow-paced story, but quite an intense story that keeps you with it the whole way through, I think.
So, Jamie, discussing from a production angle, nearly all of the production is sent in a cabin with only occasional exterior scenes, prompting one reviewer to note that the film was more like a play. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I'd say that was a pretty true telling of it. Now, I know what it's like to film in those snowier parts of Norway, and it is kind of difficult when you're working with, you know, really expensive cameras that don't really do well in the cold. You know, batteries are depleting really quickly because, you know, it's below zero. So that might have had something to do with it. The fact that it's so difficult to film outside in those temperatures, and you know, who wants to be stood outside there? They weren't wearing too many warm clothes throughout the movie. But yeah, I do believe that that's quite true, because like I was saying about how sort of claustrophobic it feels, because it's happening in a very small space. So yeah, I'd say it did feel a little bit like a play, and you know, I think that maybe benefited the story, because you're looking at the intricacies of the characters and how their relationship develops over time at a granular level. And if we were doing that with big wide landscape shots, I'm not sure the viewer would be, you know, trained to look at the individual relationships that were developing over the time.
Right, and critical reviews were mixed, with some reviewers noting that the environment and setting dominated to the detriment of the plot. Neil Lombard is one of the critics. In his review for DVD Talk, commented the entirety of the film revolves around a somewhat simplistic plot element which is based on actual historic events, but doesn't engage much beyond the central concept of the film. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I'd say that, I mean, it didn't do too well in the box office. I think it had a budget of around £15 million, and it didn't even get 800,000 in the UK box offices when it was released in 2012. Sorry, worldwide box office. So less than $800,000. So it's not critically acclaimed, but I went into the film not wanting to watch a thrilling masterpiece. I went in maybe understanding that I was going to watch a war movie that didn't leave me feeling devastated afterwards. It gave me a little bit of hope. So I guess, you know, it's what you're watching it for. I went into the film knowing full well what to expect. But I guess if I was attending the cinema, maybe I would walk away feeling like it was a bit of a snooze fest. I don't know. But I definitely still enjoyed it, knowing what I was getting into. Yeah,
because normally what war movie fans expect is a lot of action, a lot of blood, a lot of shootings and killings. But this movie lacks, you know, all of those elements.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a little bit gruesome when they have to cut off poor Joseph's arm after it got infected during the plane crash. So watch out for that one if you're planning to watch the film. But yeah, I mean, we've seen some absolutely epic war films of late, but they didn't always leave me feeling very hopeful. There, you know, those war films do end up leaving you feeling quite devastated and horrified at the events which happened. So it's nice in the mix of war films, and you know, the fact that this is a sort of true story, that there were some positive things out there. It gives you a bit more hope in quite a difficult landscape of films to watch sometimes.
Right. And also, the movie carries a very different message, depicting a mini war zone where an entire World War scenario is summed up. That is a feeling you get when you watch the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it breaks down over time, you know, when they divide the cabin up. You know, this is the English side and this is the German side, and that does create some funny moments. It's nice that they're able to stay civil in such a close, contained quarters, whilst, you know, they were armed as well. It could have gone a very different way indeed. But yeah, you sort of see the rules of war play out within that cabin, and that's one of the main themes of the film, at least in the dialogue anyway.
Right. So, moment of truth, Jamie. 3 major reasons why would you recommend the movie to our viewers?
I would recommend the movie because Rupert Grint pulls off a great Liverpudlian accent. It's a nice film, and it leaves you feeling. And you know, we don't see much of Norway on our cinema screens. At least stories happen within Norway, and it's a country that I love. So even for that, that's another reason why people should watch this film.
Right. So it means that it's a promotion of tourism towards Norway as well, right?
But I'm not sure you want to be staying in that lodge. It didn't look like a great place to stay. Let me tell you, there are a lot better places to stay in Norway near the snow. But yeah.
Right. So Jamie, thank you very much indeed. This was a brilliant discussion, and I hope you have a great time.
Thanks again.
That was Jamie Lowe with his views and review on the 2012 war movie Into the White. And that is it from today's episode. We hope you liked it. Don't forget to share your feedback on the social media link mentioned down below. We'll see you next time with some more content. Until then, take care and goodbye.